Well, welcome to Age-Friendly Thunder Bay. Once again, we're bringing you some information. And tonight and today, we're talking to Krista Power, who is the city clerk, and she's also the chief returning officer for the city of Thunder Bay. But we're going to be talking about the municipal election. I just want to identify to everybody that's watching, we will not be talking about any candidates. That is not permitted within the confines of the rules and regulations for the media. But at the same point in time, we're going to talk about the election, about why is there a municipal election, and then going into how you as a senior can get out to vote, and we're going to make it as easy as possible for you to do that. And Krista, our program today is really, as I say, about municipal election. Thank you first for coming on. I'm really pleased.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's really important, and we have an audience of seniors, older adults, and they really are the number one, I guess, demographic group that really vote.
They certainly are. I would say that I hope all demographics were as active when it comes to voting as our senior population.
One of the things that we talk about is we have three levels of government, municipal, provincial, and federal. This is a municipal election. Is it important for people to be part of that and know what's going on?
It's certainly important. Again, this is your city, this is your community, this is where you pay your taxes. Right. This is where the services that you pay for include garbage, include the roads, the recreational programs that serve. And again, I've often said that the municipal government is the closest to the people. Sometimes they're seen as the ones with the least amount of power, but you can see your member of council in the grocery store, at the hockey game, on the street, and being able to connect with them to tell them about the things that you're concerned about or things you would like to see for your community is really, really important.
One of the things you mentioned about roads and everything else, really everything to do with the city is at the municipal level, basically.
Yes, so again, the different levels of government have different roles, and I would say that sometimes the public is confused about that as to what municipal government does. We don't house people, we're not in charge of healthcare. Again, we provide municipal services as required under the Municipal Act, and as a single-tier municipality, we provide all of those services. Many municipalities are split into upper tier and lower tier, but we do it all in the city of Thunder Bay.
And it's important to make sure that whoever you vote for are representing your thoughts in regards to what you want to see happen in your community.
Certainly, if you feel really strongly about social programs, about recreation, about trails, it's important that your member of council, whether it be your ward councillor, your at-large councillor, the mayor, reflect your views and have an opportunity to share your views with those elected officials so that they, when they make their decisions as a group, can make decisions hopefully in the best interest of all citizens of Thunder Bay.
One of the things, Krista, if somebody was watching that lives in Shunya or Oliver Papoonja, I'm using those two municipalities, the rules and regulations around the actual municipal election are the same, except for the numbers and in regards to councillors and things like that. But basically, everything else is the same.
Exactly. So again, if you live in Oliver Papoonja, Nebing, Shunya, there are 444 municipalities in the province of Ontario. We're all governed under the Municipal Elections Act. All of our rules are the same. Now, while our members of council and the number of councillors may be different, again, that is prescribed by the Elections Act on how we conduct the process to elect those folks.
Right. Most smaller municipalities have a mayor and 4 councillors. That's the norm, I would say. But the city of Thunder Bay is different.
That's correct. We are a hybrid system, and we're one of the only in Ontario that is a single-tier municipality with 5 members at large, 7 ward councillors, and then the mayor.
All right. Now, if you wanted we cannot mention any names, and I was very clear about that at the start of the program. But if you wanted information about any of those candidates, how do you find that out?
So great question, and we saw a lot of folks leaving council at this term, and so we've seen a lot of new names on the ballot. People may not recognize all the folks that are going to be listed on our ballot for 2022. We'd really encourage people to take a look at our website, tbayvotes.ca. Profiles are there on each candidate. Photos of them were provided, and information that people can read about what's important to those candidates and does it reflect, again, what you want to see from your community. I'd also encourage people to take part in community events. Again, there's going to be things offered by the chamber, by the library. Take an opportunity to participate in those events if you can, or read or learn about them. And then also answer the door when a candidate comes to your door. Have an opportunity to chat with them, ask them some questions so you can make the best decision for you with your vote.
You've summed it up really well in the fact that it's really education, and you need to educate yourself about actually voting as to who you want to, to put your X beside.
Well, representation matters, right? Again, there are 13 voices at City Council, but 7 is the majority that carry. So 7 people potentially make decisions for this community of over 100,000 people. So the views that are important to you, you'd like to see expressed at City Council, so that again, that representation of your ideas and what you want to see for the community actually happens.
I really like your shirt and your little logo
Bay
there.
votes.
This is something new for you, or?
This is something new for us. We often buy shirts for all the election workers for Election Day, and we decided this year we would go a little bit northern, and we put on our Thunder Bay tuxedo to celebrate our municipal election, and also to make us visible to the voters, so people see us when they come to the polling stations.
One of the things that is so very important is that you have it all in place. So by that I mean the rules and regulations are there from the province, and it's for every municipality, and each municipality does things differently in the actual voting day. But I'm interested in the fact that if you wanted to be able to get some things together in some way and educate yourself, you can do it through the Thunder Bay Votes website.
Yes, as a clerk, I love procedures, just as, I love legislation. It's kind of what we do in the clerk's office at City Hall. But every clerk has to have procedures that relate to the election, how we conduct proxy voting, what our recount procedures are. There's a requirement for a certain number of procedures. All of those are available on our website. So if you're interested in knowing more, anyone can take a moment and read through those. And if they have questions, they're welcome to contact our office.
And it's so very important that you take that time. One of the things that we're going to mention is the fact of last election in 2018, we had 51% voted. That's not really a high number, but it's good. But you did the best in the province, actually.
We did, and it was and sadly we didn't reach 51. It was just under 51.
Okay.
But the highest number of voters in the city of Thunder Bay, in a city over 100,000 people, was us. So again, just under 51% in 2018, which we were thrilled with from a clerk's perspective, but we would love to see that number either be the same or be higher in 2022. We really want to see people engage in the electoral process to be able to register the vote and pick the person that's going to best represent them at City Hall.
Very important to do that. Well, we'll finish this segment, Krista, and thank you very much. And then we will be back in a few moments to speak again to Krista Power about some more information about the upcoming municipal election.
Thank you.
Well, the municipal election is going to be held on October the 24th. That's the correct date. Krista
That is
Power,
the
my
correct
guest.
date.
That is the correct date. But if you wanted, you could, I know because I went on the website to confirm the dates, you can actually vote ahead of time, the advanced polls.
That's correct. We will open our virtual and physical ballot boxes on October 5th. So October 5th and 6th we have advanced polls, and then the following week, the 12th and 13th, we also have advanced polls. But the online voting platform will be open as of October 5th and won't close until October 24th.
Well, how do I know if I can vote? How do I even know that I can vote?
Well, in mid-September, we're going to send out voter information letters.
Okay.
So everyone will get a letter to their door that will have their name and their information on it. We'll also have a voter PIN, and then there's some secondary authentication that you would need to do to vote online. So the first thing you need to do is wait for that voter information letter. The second thing you need to do once you receive it is confirm the information on it is correct. If you don't receive a letter, then we want you to contact our office or come to a polling station at either advanced voting or voting day to make sure that you can vote.
So if I don't have any information, I didn't get the little card or whatever, then I can still vote. That's the important thing for me. And for whatever reason, I haven't been able to do it. And say there's a senior out there that said, hey, I didn't get it, I moved. What happens now?
Absolutely. If you're someone who's moved to Thunder Bay in the last couple of weeks and you've arrived here, you're not going to be on our voters list. Because our voters list was updated at the end of August. So certainly you can either come down to City Hall at any time. You can give our phone number a call. Mid-September, we'll be launching our help desk, which is 622-VOTE. And people will give you some information on how we can update that. If you showed up at a polling station, either advance or on voting day with your license, we can add you to the voters list at that time as well.
So there's no reason
No.
to not vote. What about a university student? I was at the university earlier today, and I was amazed at how many university students we have, and a lot of those individuals are not from Thunder Bay. Can they vote in this election?
Yes. Now, one of the things they're going to need to do is make a decision as to whether or not they're voting here in Thunder Bay or whether or not they're voting in their home city.
Oh, all right.
My nieces are currently going to school at the University of Western Ontario, and one of the first things I did was to say, hey, make sure you're on the voters list because you can vote online in London for your Thunder Bay City Council.
Okay, so you can be anywhere in the world then, I guess, if
Certainly,
you wanted.
absolutely. If you're traveling and you want to be able to vote online, you can wait till Election Day should you choose to do that, and you can be anywhere in the world.
And I think it's really important that people, as I say, there's really no reason why you shouldn't vote. There's no excuse, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Well, one of our taglines for this year's election is vote anywhere. We want to make it as easy and accessible as possible. So again, we have the online option, which more than half of the voters in 2018 used online platform. And we have the in-person voting locations. They've all been reviewed by our accessibility specialists to make sure that they're easy to access. And then we also have the drive-through voting location as well.
One of the things about accessibility, Krista, if we could talk about that for a few moments, is the fact that some individuals say that the locations are not accessible, at least for them, for whatever reason. So how do we make sure that the sites are accessible?
So we do have criteria for all of our voting locations. They have to be on a bus route. They have to have accessible doorways, accessible washrooms. Ramping needs to be correct. So our accessibility specialist has reviewed all of that. We have changed some of our voting locations from 2018 to 2022 based on some of those challenges to ensure that they're fully accessible. And then we also have accessible voting opportunities at the polling station. So we have accessible voting machines, a sip and puff, a paddle, again, things for people that may be visually impaired or hearing impaired, so they can vote independently without an assistant should they so choose.
With that in mind, you mentioned about busing. Is there free busing the day of the election, or what happens with the busing?
So happy to tell you that when you get your voter information letter, you also get a free bus pass, again, to take to the polling station and home. So on the back of your voter information letters, there's information there. You just have to show your pass to the driver and your ride is free, either on, again, your advanced polling day or election day.
So there's, again, no reason, no excuse for not being able to get out and vote. I mean, you can do it in your home. And you can go, if you want to have the social component of it as a senior. Now, are the voting, the polling stations across the city?
Yes, so at advanced voting, we do a north side and a south side location. So for advanced voting, we have West Thunder Community Center and 55 Plus over on River Street. Those are our two advanced voting locations where if you vote there again the 5th and 6th or the 12th and 13th, anywhere in the city, you go to those polling stations and you can vote in your ward. And then there's up to 2 voting locations in every ward on election day.
Right. Picking up on ward, I'm going to change the subject or
Sure.
the focus for a moment. There is a mayor, and then I know that there's councillors at large and wards. So let's talk about that before we get into the school trustee situation. How do you vote for those 3 different categories?
So your ballot is quite a large ballot, and we do have more than 35 different ballots in the city of Thunder Bay, because again, if you're in your ward, you're going to vote for your ward councillor, and ward councillors are really there to assist with ward issues. So what's happening in your neighborhood,
Right.
development that's happening in your neighborhood, issues with noise complaints, issues with development, traffic, those are the things that they're really there to assist with. From an at-large perspective, they're looking at the entire city. So they're looking at the city as a whole and as to how to assist citizens across the city. The mayor is the leader of council as per the Municipal Act, but the mayor has the same roles and responsibilities as the rest of council and actually doesn't have any further power. We've heard a lot lately about the strong mayor system that's
Correct,
coming
yes.
into play. That's for Toronto and Ottawa only at this time. Again, our mayor remains the mayor as a part of a consensus group where decisions are made by majority only. The mayor doesn't have any more power than
One vote.
One vote.
One vote.
Yes.
And has to have 6 more
Yes.
to be able to pass whatever that person happens to want. to
Yes.
have
Majority carries.
majority always, and so it's very important for people to understand that, that you're right now. What about the school board? You've got the, the French and the public and the Catholic, and how does that all work?
So again, when you receive your voter information letter, you're going to get information on there as to what school board you're voting for. We can change that when you come to the polling station, or again, if you contact us in advance. So again, we have an English public school board and an English separate school board in Thunder Bay. We also have the French Catholic and the French public. You will hear we've had some acclamations in the French separate board, the Catholic board. So those folks will be listed on your ballot as acclaimed. But again, you are voting for school board trustees in one school board.
Yeah, and it's very important that you educate yourself as to which person you want to elect to represent you for the education of our young people.
Certainly, because even if you don't have children in the city of Thunder Bay, you may be a grandparent. And again, education is important for all of us. As we often say, kids are our future, and what they're going to bring to our community in the future is going to make a difference. So how they are educated is incredibly important.
So again, there's education, so very, very important. So we'll close our segment for the moment, and join us again in a few moments when we bring Krista Power back and talk about a little bit more about the municipal election. And don't forget to vote. Welcome back to Age Friendly, and we're talking to Krista Power about the municipal election. October the 24th is the actual date of the election. It's going to be here before we know it.
Certainly. We're excited about it. We have a lot of things to offer, again, in voting opportunities. Again, making it easy, safe, and accessible for voters.
We have COVID, unfortunately, Krista, whether we like it or not. Is this going to hamper somebody going to vote if they were going to vote in a polling station?
So certainly there's COVID protocols that have been in place over the last 2 years. We will use what will be required by the Thunder Bay District Health Unit. We've tried to make sure that all of our polling locations are large, have opportunities for size, for distancing, to make people feel comfortable. We'll have masks available should people choose to wear them. And then again, we have the online voting option, and then the drive-through voting option as well. People can also vote by proxy, where they can assign a family member or someone that they trust to register their vote in person, should they choose to do that.
Talk to me about the drive-through. I think that's fascinating. Something very new and different.
It is very new and different, and it was actually piloted in Southern Ontario during COVID when they had a by-election.
Right.
So I can't even imagine what that returning officer went through in the midst of all of the restrictions to try to put on a by-election. So one of the things we looked at is that if you can get a COVID test in your car, and you can get a COVID vaccine in your car, chances are you can probably vote from your car.
Right.
So what we will be setting up is at the Thunder Bay Community Auditorium, October 18th. People can drive right up. We'll hand a ballot to you on a clipboard. You'll fill it out, and you'll actually watch us put it right in the tabulator right there. So you don't even have to get out of your car.
No. So this would be really good if you're a senior and you have accessibility challenges, that you would actually be able to stay in your car and vote. October the 18th is the only day that will be able to happen then?
Yes, at this point, that's the only date we have scheduled. We are anticipating that it will be well used, and again, we'll see how we build on that for future elections. But it's our hope that seniors will use it, those with accessibility issues, and even parents or grandparents with small kids, right? To have to get them out of the car seats and get them into the polling station. Again, somebody can be having a juice box and a snack in the back seat while you're voting.
I think that is. I'm really interested to see how that's going to go. We'll know the numbers after the 18th, so it'll be something we'll have to watch for. One of the other things too is you need workers. Do you have enough workers, or can people still apply to work at the election?
So people can still apply. So there is an application process on our website. You can also call our office if you have any questions. Election staff work on election day and also at advanced polls. Sometimes they're computer operators going and looking through the voters list. Sometimes they're information officers, tabulator operators. All of the election workers receive training to understand their roles and what it is that their job is. But we do certainly need folks to work the election. We do use city staff as well, as much as possible, and want to ensure that we have enough folks in as a backup situation because of COVID, should someone not be able to come on election day.
If I want, people can watch our program about the municipal election, and that's great, but there's also the fact that maybe we've missed something, and I think we've gotten most of it. But if we have, where do they go for information?
So we really want to direct folks to our website, tbayvotes.ca, or to call City Hall, 625-2230. Again, we'll have our help desk number available in mid-September. 622-VOTE, we'll be promoting that at that time. So we really want people either to give us a call, take a look at the website. The website has sections for voters, for candidates. So if you're a voter and you need information, certainly it's going to be there. But if you want to talk to somebody on the phone, call our office and we'll be happy to help you.
I think that's important to identify that, Krista, because not every senior or older adult has a computer.
Certainly.
And so, and then they also want to talk to somebody, actually talk to someone. So it's really important that you can phone, and I think that we can acknowledge that today. So if it's there for you,
absolutely,
the information and all the rest. Now, one of the things, okay, so election happens, October 24th. It's all done. You tally up, and hopefully nothing goes wrong. That's important.
Good. Something to knock on.
and we'll assume it's all going to go well.
Yes.
So within that, what is it? A kind of like a 24 hours that you have to guarantee that final count?
We certify the results generally within 24 to 48 hours after the election. So what we do is we share unofficial results the evening of the election.
Right.
And we share those after polls close and all the numbers have come in. So one thing that's important for people to note is that the polls are going to close at 8 o'clock.
Right.
But if there are people standing in line waiting to vote at 8 o'clock, we don't close that poll.
Okay.
It stays open until every person that's standing there has had the opportunity to vote. So sometimes those numbers can be a little bit late coming in, and then we have to transfer all those numbers from the tabulators to City Hall to make sure that we do our counts, our double checks, and our triple checks.
Right. You mentioned that polls close at 8. We did not talk about when they open.
They open at 10.
10. So 10 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock in the evening you can vote, and then if you're still inside, you can still vote until whatever. Once the council, and we talked about that at the start of the program, you're going to have a lot of new councillors, and actually that's happening throughout Northwestern Ontario. It's not just Thunder Bay. We're going to have a lot of new councillors. So you have this new council. How do you train them, orientate them? How do they learn? What happens then?
So the new term of council starts on November 15th. So my office is in the midst right now of putting together our orientation program, which we do at the beginning of every term of council to go through with returning members of council and new members of council, what their role is, what their responsibilities are, what the legislative authorities are, helping them understand how the processes work and how they can achieve their goals, and then also getting to know them as individuals as well as to what they hope to see in their term of council.
And when will they actually start? I know November the 15th, but you're not going to have inauguration that night.
No, so inauguration will be the last Monday in November. So November the 28th will be the inaugural meeting. But technically council is in power as of the 15th. And should there be an emergency and they needed to meet after the 15th or before the 28th, they could do that.
All right. One of the things, too, for the city of Thunder Bay is you're looking at this might be the last way that you're going to vote for council, because you're going to have a study done in the next term of council.
Yes, 2023. I'm very excited to work with citizens to go out into the community and determine what representation looks like for people and what they'd like to see. This last term of council was interested in a potential reduction to the number of councillors, and it's really important that we ask the public what they would like to see. Is the ward system working for them? Do they like the hybrid system with at-large? Again, would they like to see a reduction, and how would their representation change for them? We also haven't looked at ward boundaries in a long time. We have some neighborhoods that are booming, others that are decreasing. So again, is the representation fair? So we're going to do that work in 2023. We're going to put together a citizen committee, and then we will bring recommendations to City Council to potentially make a change.
Well, that's an exciting time for the next council to be looking at that. But I want to say thank you very much. We've covered a lot about the municipal election today and what's happening. And I think it's really important that make sure, as Krista Power, our city clerk and our chief returning officer has identified, that you get out and vote. You have the opportunity to do that in advance polls, all kinds of ways, but October the 24th is the election date. So Krista, thank you very much. I really hope that we have a huge turnout of individuals to
I hope
vote.
so too. I hope we beat that 51%.
Let's do that. Let's see what we can do. Thank you very much, and make sure that you're one of those people that vote.
Hi, I'm Linda DePiro, and today's exercise segment is a very functional movement. It is called sit to stand. So you'll need a very sturdy chair, not a folding chair, not one on wheels, a nice sturdy chair. And I'm going to show you this little technique about hip hinging. So where the top of your femur, your leg, meets your pelvis, there's that little crease in there. And I want you to pronounce that every time you sit and then open it when you stand. So first off, take your fingertips to that little crease area, flat back as you're pretending you're sitting down, and then straighten. So narrowing the crease and then lengthening through the crease. So we're gonna hip hinge, we're gonna sit. Adjust your feet accordingly, hip hinge, press through the feet to stand. So this strengthens your legs, your glutes. Also, it trains you to be very functional. How many times do you sit and stand during the day? Or you should be, right? Let's change this up a little bit, staggering the feet. The toes are in line kind of with the heels. Your back leg is going to feel this a little bit more. So you're gonna hip hinge to stand, hip hinge to, then you can switch it up. A little squishy ball, you can get these things wherever. You have them in your home, a pillow. Sit up nice and tall and you're going to adduct. So you're working your adductors at the same time. Let's combine it with the hip hinge. Squeeze the ball, hip hinge to lift. Squeeze the ball, hip hinge to lower. And lift and lower. So seated exercises are effective. They're supposed to be friendly. And do them until you almost fatigue and then stop. So there's many options that you can do with this. So incorporate this into your exercise program every day. See you next time.